Namaskar, Nilesh Okier, part 4 of Bharat Dinadarshika. Many users of Bharat Dinadarshika asked me this question as to how long did it take to create this initiative? And the answer is it took us about 8+ years to do this. In fact, it began sometime in 2012 when a medical professional living in United Kingdom suggested that we could start a calendar with reference of the Mahabharat war year as the baseline. And this was in the context of my original work on the dating of the Mahabharat war, which is at 5561 BCE. So the idea began there, and then it took many years to go through the groundwork, and finally we are here. The second point, and in fact these are the key points now that I want to educate the users of Bharat Dinadarshika. The first day of the year for Bharat Dinadarshika, I mean, what is it? And the answer is, I will again repeat that answer when we go to the next screen. But in this Bharat Dinadarshika, essentially we have two beginnings. Okay, they may not be very obvious because remember, Indian calendar is a lunisolar calendar. So there is a lunar year and there is also a solar year. So the solar year begins with the day of Vasanta Sampat, which is same as spring equinox. And with reference to Gregorian calendar, that falls on 21st of March or somewhere around there. For the lunar calendar, it will begin with the first day of the lunar month of Chaitra. In many places, it is celebrated as the first day of the year, as sometimes it's called Ugadi. In Maharashtra, it is called Gudi Padwa. So that is another beginning for this year, okay, for this Dinadarshika. All right. Then in the last part, I went through the different names of the Saura Masa or the solar months of the Indian calendar based on the Taittiriya Samhita references. And there I mentioned that the duration, the total length measured in number of days for each Saura Masa is not the same. Now, this is something we are familiar with. For example, the Gregorian calendar that we are familiar with, it has different durations for different months. For example, January is 31 days. February is either 28 or 29 days. March is 31 days. April is 30 days. May is 31 days, and so on. Okay. In some sense, these are arbitrary numbers assigned to those specific months. What we will see that in the case of Saura Masa or Indian calendar solar months, the duration for each solar month does differ from one to the other. However, there is a very specific reason, okay, for their length, and we will go through that. All right. And then also we will briefly mention why does this duration changes, and it changes from 29 days to 32 days. Okay. So let's get into the diagram itself. This is what you must have seen in the previous part. If you have not, please go back and do go through parts 1, 2, and 3. All right, so what we have here is Earth at the center. That is because we are looking at the sky from the center and noticing the changes. On 21st March, the position of the sun as seen from the earth is at spring equinox, okay, Vasanta Sampat, and that is the beginning for the solar year or solar year in Bharat Dinadarshika. Okay. Now, sun is going to move through 30 degrees for any given solar month. There are a total of 360 degrees in a circle. We have a total of 12 solar months. So if you divide 360 by 12, we get 30 degrees. However, what happens is that while the motion of the sun with respect to the earth, as seen from the earth, is more or less constant, it's not exactly the same. And that is the reason why the duration of a solar month changes from one to the next. All right. So since the solar year begins on 21st March, that is on the spring equinox with reference to the Gregorian calendar, that's why 21st March, the first month of the solar month in Bharat Dinadarshika will be called Madhava. All right. And then Shukra, then Shuchi, we are going in the anti-clockwise direction. Then Nabha or Nabhas, then Nabhasya, Isha, Urja, Saha or Sahas, then Sahasya, Tapas or Tapa, and then Tapasya. And that completes our 12 months. So in terms of the duration of each solar month, let's begin with the first month of the solar calendar here, Madhava. All right. And we are looking at these lengths for the current year. Okay. So Mahabharat Samvat 7581, Vikram Samvat 2077, or Shalivan Shaka 1942. These durations may change slightly from year to year. Okay. But for most part, they will remain the same. All right. So let's begin with Madhava. And for this year, which has already occurred, the month of Madhava, the duration for this solar month was 30 days. What does that mean? It took sun 30 days to go through that 30 degrees, those 30 degrees. When we go to Shukra, the next month, the duration of Shukra this year was 31 days because it took the sun to go through those 30 degrees 31 days. Let's go to Shuchi. The duration was again 31 days. And when we come to Nabha, notice this, we have 32 days. We will have 32 days in the solar month of Nabha, which will begin on 21st June. All right, going further, in Nabhasya, we will have 31 days. Isha, we will have 31 days. And now again, we see the change. In the solar month of Urja, which will begin on 23rd September, we will have 30 days. The solar month of Saha or Sahas, we will have 30 days. The solar month of Sahasya, again, we will have 30 days. And in the solar month of Tapa or Tapas, just after the winter solstice, like the month, solar month beginning with 21st December, Tapa or Tapas, will have 29 days. And again, if you go to Tapasya, back to 30 days, and the last month, Madhu, will also have 30 days. Now, why does this happen? This happens because, remember, the orbit of the Earth around the sun is not exactly circular, but it is rather elliptical. Okay, and the position of the sun with respect to the Earth's orbit is not at the center of a circle, but it's actually at one of the focal point, you can say. Okay, there are many names for it. So what happens is, as the Earth goes around the sun, or as seen from the Earth, sun goes around the Earth, there will be a point when the distance between the sun and the Earth is the farthest. And so at that point, or in that area, because the distance is farthest, the sun will appear to move slowly, or the slowest, as seen from the Earth. So that is actually the area, for example, the timing rather, when Nabha, the solar month, has 32 days. Okay, that's when the position of the sun is farthest from the earth, and that's why sun appears to move slowest, and that's why it takes longer for the sun to move through the same 30 degrees as seen from the earth. Now exactly opposite of that happens when it comes the time for the solar month of Tapa or Tapas. Now the sun is closest to the earth, which means as seen from the earth, the sun will appear to move a bit faster. Okay, it's not a huge difference. That's something we will not necessarily notice with a regular watching of the sky, but with refined instruments we can identify this. Okay, so the duration of a solar month in Bharatiya Dinadarshika, it moved from the lower of 29 to the higher of 32 days. All right, that's all for today.